Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 4th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
105 here on the great WRKO. Okay, later this hour, I promise, Laura Ingram's war with David Hogg. Did Hogg win or did Laura best him? I have a column out at WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. You just click on there, go to my page, click on menu, then click on Kuhner's Corner. There's my latest column, David Hogg, Liberal Punk. I expose him for the thug, the narcissist, and the liar and fanatic that he is, and who are the people backing him and propping him up. So I'm urging all of you, please, Kuhner country, we need to expose him. The sooner, the better. Please go read and pass along my column, and I will get the latest on this growing battle later this hour. But first, the YouTube shooter. So we had a caller, Jay, mental health professional, so he claims, saying it's mental illness, it's guns, it's the prevalence of guns. Guns is what's causing people to commit suicide or killing themselves with guns, workplace violence, mass school shootings, and hey, brother, he's a Christian, I'm a Christian. Can't we all just get along and really start regulating and controlling the guns? If you regulate and control the guns, the violence allegedly is going to stop. Hey, that's essentially his argument in a nutshell. You can also text us to WRKO, whatever your message is, to 70470. This is from 617. Jeff, what's the difference between liberals blaming guns and you blaming gun control? Nothing. First thing both sides do is blame everybody but the person who did it. You're a clown and a hypocrite. Okay, number one, 617. If I am a clown and a hypocrite, what does that make you listening to my show? I don't listen to clowns and hypocrites. So if you don't like what I have to say, turn the dial. Leave. That's point number one. Point number two, you're either deaf or an ignoramus. Take your pick. Because all I did was blame the shooter, Nassim Agdam. She's the one that's to blame. She's the one who bought the gun legally in California, a 9mm Smith & Wesson. She is the one that went to a target range, and she's the one that pulled the trigger and put 3 people in the hospital before committing suicide with the gun herself. Now, what I am saying, and I think what you are either unable or unwilling to acknowledge, both you and Jay the liberal, is that there is now an established pattern and history of left-wing violence and left-wing terrorism. Now, as for the suicides, that to me is the most ridiculous argument. People have been committing suicides for thousands of years. They used to hang themselves, they still do. They jump off buildings, they jump off bridges. So this idea that somehow the guns are to blame for suicides, like what are you on crack? If you're determined to kill yourself, you're going to kill yourself. And whether you use rope, or you use a mountain, or you use a bridge, or or a gun, or whatever, you're going to kill yourself. So if this woman was determined to kill herself, she's going to kill herself. That's point number one. Point number two, and this is the mother of all points. If gun control allegedly works, it didn't work in California. It didn't work in this case. It doesn't work in Chicago. It doesn't work in Baltimore. It doesn't work in New York. So we now know that the states and the cities with the toughest, strictest gun control laws have the most crime and have the most shootings. Furthermore, and I discussed this on my show, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, England, which has some of the strictest, toughest gun control laws in the entire world, And London, the capital of England, actually the United Kingdom, which has the strictest gun control laws in all of England and the United Kingdom, now their murder rate has surpassed that of New York City. Their rape rate has surpassed that of New York City. Their mugging rate has surpassed that of New York City. Crime is out of control in London and England. And you know what the weapons the killers are using? Because you can't buy a gun in England. It's practically, it is so severely regulated, it is almost impossible. Outside of a hunting rifle, good luck getting a gun, legally, in Britain. They're using knives. They're using baseball bats with spikes. They're using crowbars. They're using all kinds of weapons. So, if you're truly interested, as you claim, as a Christian, to save lives, then why would you support gun control? It doesn't work. Everywhere it's been tried, it doesn't work. But here is the deeper point. And this is where I think the left is either unwilling or unable to acknowledge fundamental reality. They have a problem with terrorism. Just like Islam has a problem with terrorism, so does the modern day left. And this woman is a clear example of it. She was a radical PETA activist. She was a radical vegan left-wing activist. You want to talk about a radical tree hugger? She was it. And in her mind, animals have the same value as people. And so to protest her videos being allegedly censored, where she talked about you kill a cow, you're killing a person. You kill a chicken, it's like killing a person. Animal rights, according to her, equal human rights. So she was so angry, so frustrated, she does what many liberals and leftists do. When they can't get their way, they resort to violence. Now, how come the left isn't condemning this? How come they're not condemning PETA? They embrace PETA. Hollywood loves PETA. The Democratic Party loves PETA. How come they're not condemning these radical environmentalists who have been engaging in all kinds of acts of terrorism all across out west? Ted Kaczynski, Exhibit A. You never hear that. It's always white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Trump supporters. One Trump supporter punched a counter-protester during the campaign. Oh, look at the hate. Oh, look at the hate. Trump supporters, they're all deplorables. Look at them. And I'm not just talking about this one woman. I'm talking about Antifa with their black masks and their black leather jackets and their black outfits, beating up old ladies, attacking police officers, burning down buildings, attacking students who disagree with them on campus after campus after campus after campus, and not one word of condemnation from liberals or Democrats. Why? Because they're rabidly anti-Trump. Who are we kidding? Black Lives Matter. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. That's exactly what they were chanting here on the streets of Boston when they were protesting. What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it? Now. 2 cops gunned down in New York by a Black Lives Matter supporter. 5 cops gunned down in Dallas by a Black Lives Matter supporter. Yet the media lionizes them. The liberals lionize them. Ferguson, Baltimore, I could go city after city. They burn to the ground. The left says nothing. So, let's be candid. You want to be candid? Let's be candid. This is another act of left-wing terrorism. You have a problem with liberal terrorism in this country. It goes all the way back to the Weather Underground. It goes all the way back to the 1960s. Where they were blowing up buildings, blowing up police departments, shooting and killing cops. Bernardine Dorn. All the buddies that Obama hung out with. Bill Ayers. Hell, he was Obama's best friend. He helped launch his political campaign and political career from his own apartment. So don't tell me that somehow we just have to, condemn this one little person and sweep everything else under the rug. No, 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 no. PETA is an extremist, militant, violent organization. They are a terrorist organization, but you won't call them out. Black Lives Matter is a domestic hate group, a terrorist organization, but you won't call them out. Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization, but you won't call them out. In fact, the Democratic Party embraces them, all of them. But when it comes to the NRA, David Hogg, as I point out in my column on WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner, I lay all the damning evidence right there. David Hogg says the NRA is a terrorist organization and hundreds of thousands cheer him at the March for Our Lives. The media celebrates him. David Hogg says that the cops are racists and they celebrate him. David Hogg says that if you disagree with him, if you defend the Second Amendment, you are a quote-unquote child killer. In fact, he delivers his speech at the March for Our Lives, and he puts up a stupid placard with figures on it saying, this is how much Marco Rubio thinks the life of every dead student is worth. In other words, that Rubio and any pro-Second Amendment conservative or Republican, we have blood on our hands. We're child killers. And they lionize him. They lionize him. So when we're called terrorists, no problem. When the Democrats' own presidential candidate in 2016, in the line and the comment that changed the history of the world, stood there in front of a public audience and referred to every conservative in this country and every Trump supporter as a so-called deplorable. Neo-Nazis, fascists, racists, bigots, Islamophobes, homophobes. They are irredeemable. She spit in the face of half of the country. Smeared and slandered and demonized in the most racist way imaginable. People for simply being conservatives. Or as Obama called them, they cling to their guns and their Bible. They're bitter clingers. So, that's okay. When the Democrats do it, that's okay. But when we rightly point out, by the way, no deplorable has ever blown up anything. No deplorable has ever taken a gun and, I don't know, shot up YouTube headquarters. We don't go around burning buildings. We don't go around dressed in black fatigues, beating the hell out of anybody that disagrees with us. We don't go around killing police officers or starting riots and burning cities to the ground. We don't do that. You want to know what we do? We work. We work. I work. Brittany works. Jared works. And you want to know the truth? I'm going to tell you the truth because somebody needs to speak up for these deplorables. I'm a deplorable, so I got to speak up for us. Many deplorables make $30,000 to $40,000 a year, and that's a very important point. Because if you take advantage of all the welfare benefits, especially after the Obama years, you get a total of $52,000 in welfare benefits. $52K, my friend. You take all the food stamps, all the Section 8, all the Medicaid, the Obama phones, the welfare, the EBT, you put all of that together, it's worth $52,000 a year. You never have to work. You're able-bodied, you're healthy, you don't have to work. You can watch Jerry Springer and get stoned all day, every day, and we pay for it. So, many of those deplorables make a lot less than $52,000 a year. You know what that means? Think about it for a second. They don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They don't have to shower and get their kids ready for school, battle 2 hours of traffic, work their asses off all day, drive back 2 hours in traffic, pick their kids up, make dinner, help them with their homework, go back to bed, and keep doing it again and again and again and again. They could be at home collecting a welfare check. So why don't they collect a welfare check? Because they have too much pride. They have too much dignity. They have too much respect and love for this country and their fellow Americans. They don't want to be a freaking mooch, a parasite, a taker, a deadbeat. They send their children off to war to fight for our country. They raise their families. They love our Constitution. They love our Bill of Rights. They love their homeland and their country. And for that, they are every day blasted, ridiculed, smeared, and slandered by you. By you. By your presidential candidates, by your media, by your party, by your leadership. Every freaking day. I know I get the emails. What have I ever done except pay taxes and work for this country? That's all I've ever done. You don't like what I have to say? Turn the dial. It's still a free country in theory, but you can't stop. You're like David Hogg. You have to silence, you have to muzzle, you have to intimidate, you have to bully. You know why? Because every word that's been coming out of my mouth, you know deep down, you know in your heart of hearts, I'm right and you're wrong. You know it. You know it's your side that's preaching violence, not us. You know it's your side that's truly intolerant, not us. You know that many of these immigrants who are allowing to come in are people that are incompatible with the Western society, that hate this country and want to kill us and slit our throats. You know it. From 9/11 to the Boston Marathon bombing to San Bernardino to the Orlando Pulse nightclub, I could go on and on. And now we have this in California at YouTube. We let them in. We give them jobs. We send them to school. We give them all the opportunities in the world. This woman was a freaking star on YouTube for a decade peddling her garbage. And she's going on saying there's more freedom of speech in Iran than America. Why? Because YouTube was filtering her stupid workout videos. You think we need that? That's what this country needs. And you keep telling us we need more diversity. So the less we have in common, the better it is for us. By your ridiculous logic. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I want a travel ban. I want a travel ban on cultures, countries, and societies that have no respect for the rule of law, no respect for the West, and no respect for America. Period. Full stop. We didn't need the Agdams. We didn't need the Tsarnaevs. They don't do anything for our country or our culture. And so we used to say this and we used to know this. And I'm going to bring this phrase back. America, love it or leave it. We should never have allowed the Agdams into our country. And that's a fact. And everybody knows it. 125 here on the great WRKO. Another mass shooting. This time from a radical vegan and militant animal rights activist, an immigrant from Iran, Nassim Agdam. And my question to you is this. Is this another example of left-wing terrorism, liberal terrorism? I say yes. What do you say? Ed in Reading. You're up next. Go ahead, Ed.
Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Hey, Ed.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Although I see a different angle on this.
Go ahead, Ed. Go. The floor is yours.
Yeah,
Go.
This woman doesn't fit the mold of stereotype that CNN and MSNBC are looking for. So I don't think it doesn't fit their narrative. And actually, a self-described liberal attacking the censorship coming from her own side. And it's not a good story for the left, and I don't think you'll see much. This story won't have as many legs.
Oh, it's got no. Oh, they're already moving on. Oh, yeah, they're already burying this baby.
And that guy that criticized you before, what's his face, Jay?
Yes, Jay.
Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no clue about the gun laws of our state. He probably never. I don't think he's owned or even fired a weapon. And the left's insatiable appetite to tie every and any shooting to the NRA just proves how misinformed they choose to stay misinformed and uninformed. And there's nothing you and I can do with these people. That's the way. It's like the kamikaze guy. You know, they're just going to jump off the bridge. That's the way they're indoctrinated, and they'll go to the grave. Now, it's almost impossible to bring these people to realize that they're just severely misinformed. And the media keeps on disinforming. And disinformation was very big, but I won't get into that topic of the Soviet KGB.
Ed, I want to thank you for that call. Look, we have a fifth columnist media, and you mentioned disinformation, disinformatio, as the Russians call it. That's what CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Boston Globe, the mainstream media, that's their currency. That's how they make their money. Because this is not news or journalism, quote unquote. What they are it's public relations, it's propaganda for the left in this country. That's all it is. They're basically a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. So they looked at this woman, they said, nah, can't go there. Nah, not a crazy right-winger, Sarah Palin supporter, Trump supporter, Second Amendment person, not a Timothy McVeigh. No Timothy McVeigh here. Move on. Move on. Nothing to see. Nothing. That's one of us. If it's one of us, that's just blame the guns and just move on quick. Quick. Russ in Boston, you're up next. Go ahead, Russ.
First of all, Jeff, my ears are hearing the glory of Radio Free USA, and thank you for bringing us the truth every afternoon.
Thank you, Russ.
First of all, anybody that blames the NRA, they're either ignorant or they have another agenda. There was no question about that. First of all, this person, they knew that she was a sicko. They should have taken her guns away, and this should never have happened. The other thing, Jeff, is that, let's face it, we live in a sick society. We've taken away the human touch of communication, and people, what do? They communicate electronically, and the whole human touch is not there. God has been taken out of the square. God has been taken out of the schools. We have no respect for life with abortion. We have no respect for life at the end with assisted suicide. And so what do you expect? Nothing but chaos. And the left will never own up the fact that they are the problem, not the guns. The sick society is the problem.
Brilliant. It's not the guns, it's the culture. I couldn't have said it better myself, Russ. Okay, speaking of the culture, Hogg and Laura Ingraham, the final battle. I've got that story for you. You don't want to touch that dial. But first, San Bruno police are now giving an update on what they know about the rampage, the mass shooting that took place at YouTube's headquarters yesterday. Evan Heidenrich is in the RKO newsroom. He has all of those details. Take it away, Evan.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
David Hogg versus Laura Ingraham. Okay, my friends, I have a fresh, new, very important column out exposing a camera hog, as I call him, for the liberal thug and narcissistic blowhard that he is. I'm urging everybody, please go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Click on menu. You'll see Kuhner's Corner. Click on that. That's where all my columns are. Please go to David Hogg, liberal punk. And I blow the lid off of that, really, that know-it-all, narcissistic, spoiled brat. I mean, you want to talk about giving it to him with both barrels. The Kuhner man gave it to him with both political, ideological barrels. Now, here is now the absolute latest. So as you know, David Hogg has now been calling for a massive advertising boycott of Laura Ingram's show. Why? Because she teased him about his constant whining on social media that he was rejected by 4 prominent colleges in California. And according to him, even though he's got a horrible GPA, he's out there saving the world. So how the hell could these colleges be rejecting him? So she basically teased him about it. When he found out, he put the word out to all of his leftist supporters. It is time to shut her up. And he put a list out on he tweeted out a list on social media of all of the top advertisers and companies. And he then gave instructions. Okay, you guys target, this company, you guys target this company, you guys target this company. And before you know it, she has now been fighting for her professional life. As I point out in my column, 1/3 of her advertisers buckled under the pressure and they engaged in this economic boycott. They pulled out all of their advertising. Laura Ingraham is off this week. She's on some kind of spring vacation with her 2 adopted kids. And Hogg now believed that he had her on the ropes. She then apologized, which, as I point out in my column, was a big mistake, because that only emboldened him and it only emboldened the hard left in this country. And so as they kept putting more and more pressure on Laura Ingraham, David Hogg refused to accept her apology. He then told her she needed to apologize to LeBron James for saying shut up and dribble, criticizing him for not knowing what he's talking about on political issues. He then said not only should she apologize to LeBron James, he then said he will not accept her apology and he wants her show completely taken off the air. If they take Laura Ingraham off the air, he said that's still not good enough. He wants the entire Fox News network, I lay all this out in my column, to then adopt a pro-gun control agenda. In other words, he wants to dictate to Fox News not just what Laura Ingram's show, what her take should be on the Second Amendment, on guns. He has racism, sexism. He wants to control content on everything. But on Sean Hannity's show, Tucker Carlson, Brett Baer, you name it, every show, they have to now toe the gun control line or this economic boycott is going to continue. In other words, his ego is now out of control. CNN had him on. MSNBC had him on. They were championing him, lionizing him, saying he is the voice of a generation. He is the voice of the victims. He is the voice and face of the gun control movement in this country. To Fox News' credit, and frankly to your credit, Kuhner country, because you rallied for Laura Ingraham, because many of you called Fox, because many of you are active on social media saying, I stand with Laura Ingraham, because many of you went after the advertisers that were boycotting Laura Ingram's show. Fox has now realized that they're going to lose a lot more from their conservative viewers if they dump Laura Ingraham. And so they have now basically told David Hogg, get lost. In a statement released by the co-president of Fox News, Jack Abernathy, he said now that in this battle between Laura Ingraham and David Hogg, Ingraham 1, Hogg 0. Quote, we cannot and will not allow voices to be censored by agenda-driven intimidation efforts. He goes on to say, we look forward to having Laura Ingraham back hosting her program next Monday when she returns from spring vacation with her children. So they are not going to be taking her off the air. They're not going to let this advertising boycott win, even though she's lost a lot of revenue for her show. They are going to stand with her no matter what, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, a couple of points, and then I want to throw it open to you. 617-266-6868 is the number. As I point out in my column, not only is Hogg a coarse vulgarian with, just the profanity that comes out of his mouth, not only is he a young Lenin, an intolerant, smug leftist who wants to silence, bully, and muzzle dissent, free speech, and all conservative ideas. What the left is doing is they are using David Hogg as their battering ram. The fact that he's supposedly a school shooting survivor, to shield him from any criticism, and then to use him as part of their longer strategy, and this is their ultimate goal, to purge all conservatives from the media. That's their ultimate goal here. And so that's why I drew the line on Laura Ingraham, because if they could bring down Laura Ingraham, believe me, they'd bring down Hannity, they'd bring down Tucker Carlson, they'd bring down Levin, they'd bring down Savage, and of course, eventually they'd bring me down. In other words, their goal is to hunt every conservative in the media and take them out. This is a fundamental assault on freedom of speech. That's what this is. And so, as I point out in my column, it's time for him to be exposed. Number one, he was not even in Building 12 when Nicholas Cruz unleashed his bloodbath. He was in a completely separate building. He never once was in any serious danger for his life. In fact, many of the survivors who were in Building 12 are deeply resentful of the fact that the media has anointed him as the spokesperson for them, for the dead, and for the victims. As I say in my column, he doesn't speak for anybody but himself. Or in reality, his mother, who is a rabid anti-Trump Democrat, a political activist, his father, who is a former FBI hack, and of course, the organized left that have now elevated him almost to sainthood status. Now, as I show in my column, when he has been interviewed, he's always coddled by CNN or MSNBC, but in one interview, which was the most revealing of all, and I have it all laid out in the column, he is asked point blank, okay, if you could be president of the United States, what specific policy reforms, specific solutions proposals do you think we should implement? His response, quote, I'm blanking 17. I'm just a blanking kid. I shouldn't have to even blanking deal with this. In other words, when asked to give specifics, suddenly he's just a kid. Suddenly he's not an adult. Suddenly he's a child. How dare you pick on a child? That was the line they used against Laura Ingraham. How dare you're bullying, according to him, it's what he said. She's bullying me. Oh my God, she called me names. Oh my God, she made fun of me not getting accepted into school. No. He's a little snowflake. That's what he is. He's a spoiled, privileged punk. He's a punk. And as I say in my column, he needs a good political, ideological spanking. Well, this column does it. If you're too young to be criticized or mocked, then you are too young for adults to take you seriously. If, however, you're old enough and mature enough that adults should be listening to you, then I'm sorry. You're a public figure. You're a political activist. You're the one that's throwing bombs. You're calling Rubio a child killer. You're calling conservatives child killers. You're calling cops racist. You're saying parents are dumb. It's all you. You're insulting parents, the cops, the military, America, conservatives. You're just throwing one bomb after another. Then, buddy, listen, hey, if you can dish it out, you got to be able to take it. Are you a grown-up or are you not a grown-up? Take your pick. Fish or cut bait. And so what I am now calling for in my column, and that's why I'm urging all of you, please, please send it out, because we have to, this is now going to be our moment. Now that Laura Ingraham has won this battle for now, because Hogg is continuing and they're going to be back. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop until every conservative is taken off the air, every conservative is off Fox, every conservative is off talk radio. We know that's their ultimate end goal. Now, let's go after the boycotters. And I think of the scene in Braveheart, the brilliant Mel Gibson movie about William Wallace, the great Scottish patriot who eventually helped Scotland win its independence from England. At a crucial battle with the English, the Scottish nobles abandoned William Wallace and his band of Scottish patriots at a critical moment. And the Scots were slaughtered on the battlefield. But Wallace and some of his closest supporters managed to escape. And then, because he managed to survive, they're able to fight another day. He then hunts down every single treasonous nobleman, every treasonous Scottish aristocrat who stabbed him and his brave patriots in the back. And by getting rid of them, he's able to rebuild a Scottish army and eventually win independence, or it's actually through Robert the Bruce, but essentially he's able to win independence for Scotland. Like William Wallace, let's now hunt down the boycotters. Let's show those companies that boycotted Laura Ingraham that now you want to play an economic boycott, you want to engage in this sort of stuff, it's a double-edged sword. You thought you were going to take out Laura Ingraham. Well, now we're going to take you out. We're going to show you that there is a tremendous price to be paid when you try to target, silence, and bully conservatives. And so what I've done is, in my column, I have listed all 12 of the companies, and many of them are household names. They're big names. Office Depot, Expedia, Nestle, Liberty Mutual, Johnson & Johnson, every single one of them who participated in this economic boycott, not just against Laura Ingraham. Most importantly, it was part of a war against freedom of speech. She has now managed to survive. Let's show them the price of being against freedom. And maybe the next time, these big companies are going to think twice, saying, it's nice to be politically correct. It's nice to be trendy. It's nice to listen to to bow at the altar of political correctness and the likes of David Hogg, these liberal thugs. But there's going to be a huge financial economic price to pay. Maybe it's not good for business. You know what? Not because we believe in it in principle, but because it's the best interest for the bottom line. Let's not engage in economic boycotts. Nah, we're going to pass on this one. We need now to go after the boycotters. They have declared war on us. It is time for us to declare war on them. And what we have also done is on WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner, you can not only just read my column, we literally have the names of the 12 companies. So you can see them for yourselves. Don't buy their products. Don't give them any of your money, and pass the word around. They're anti-freedom, they're anti-free speech, they're anti-conservative, and they're anti-American. One final point. There was one company, and they're an advertiser on this show, that refused to buckle to David Hogg's economic boycott and his intimidation campaign. And that was MyPillow. That was MyPillow. MyPillow, its founder, Mike Lindell, went on social media and said that he's facing a tremendous amount of pressure from these fascist liberal thugs saying they're going to go after his pillows, they're going to try to ruin his business, that they want him to pull out his money from Laura Ingram's show. And Mike Lindell said, absolutely not, no way. No way. He is an advertiser on this show. I've never done this before, but I'm going to do it now. Okay? I'm going to give him a plug because I think he deserves it. Because what he did took tremendous guts, tremendous courage, and tremendous patriotism. So I'm going to give him a free read right now, and I hope all of you, I'm serious, if you have not bought a MyPillow, now is your chance. Because we have to stand with companies and businesses that stand with us. So, as you know, for years, I have been using a MyPillow. It is, by the way, it's 100% made in the USA. I love it. I bought it for Grace. I bought it for my own kids. It's that good. I am now getting I'm telling you, the best night's sleep of my life. I'm not saying this because it's in a spot. I use it. I sleep like a baby. I fall asleep within 10 minutes. My snoring is gone. I wake up refreshed, ready to take on the day. To me, it is a revolutionary pillow. It also comes now, they're also giving you a mattress topper, a MyPillow mattress topper, which helps to regulate your body temperature. It's incredible. Not too cold, not too hot. You sleep just perfectly. If you call now, for Kuhner Country listeners, you're going to get an offer of 30% off of the MyPillow mattress topper. And listen to this, you're going to get 2 free standard size MyPillows. All you have to do is use the code WRKO. And just to show you how honest this business is, you get a full 60-day money-back guarantee. Forget a good night's sleep. I'm not kidding. If you get a great night's sleep, forget it. Return it. If you don't get the best night's sleep of your life, return it for a full refund. I'm telling you, you're not. You are going to love it the way I love it. So call now, 1-800-972-2316, 1-800-972-2316, or go to mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com, and be sure to enter the code WRKO. Charlotte in Boston. You're up next. Go ahead, Charlotte.
I'm my favorite bulldozer. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you, Charlotte?
I'm good. I have 4 MyPillows and 2 travel pillows, so I'm already good. Anyway, love them. Very quickly, I know you're pressed for time. You need to have a laugh track, because I don't want you mentioning that pompous, spoiled little know-it-all's name anymore. Or if you've got to mention it, you got to laugh at him. Ridicule is the best equalizer for this boy. He shouldn't be taken seriously. You don't have to expose him. Just laugh at him. All right, that's number one. So you got to start laughing at him. Anyway, I don't watch any of these programs on TV, but the cultural rot is evident. Marriage Boot Camp, Braxton Family, Bridezillas, Hustle and Soul. Have you ever watched the commercials? The filth, the coarseness, the crudity, the disrespect. My family doesn't act like that. Who acts like that? Have you ever seen any of these? Who acts like this in America? Really? Do people really act like this?
Charlotte, I have to say, I mean, if you read my column, the guy's got, Hogg has got such a filthy mouth.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I hate to say this, but I think, I hate to say that, but I think a lot of people do.
No, and I know, but on TV, so kids can see this and think that's the way normal American families behave amongst each other.
Charlotte, can I ask you an honest question? I mean, I only have 1 minute left, but I want to ask you this honest question.
Yes.
If he was your son and he was behaving the way this kid's been behaving, would you put him in his place? Would you spank him? Would you have disciplined him?
Well, I'm a little older now, but see, I'd be arrested now, okay? Because he would get first a good slap across the face with the mouth filthy, and then a solid spanking. That's what he needs. He's a little kid, pompous little know-it-all. That's what he is.
Charlotte, thank you very much for that call. Honestly, right in the mouth, slap, right in the face, bang. Say, why don't you learn some manners and respect your elders, you little punk. Okay, I'm going to continue to take your calls. I promise. How much time left, Brittany? All right, 10 seconds. Okay, my friends, I'm going to take more of your calls. Laura Ingram versus David Hogg. Round 1 to Laura. What should we do with Hogg and his boycotters? Next.
The voice of Boston is you. On 680 WRKO Boston, an iHeart radio station. It's 2 o'clock.